What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Too Much Test Podcast, episode 41. I am here, as always, with Sam Stolt. My name is Test Your Levels. I have my YouTube channel is Testosterone and Men's Health on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. We're going to do it a little bit different today. We're going to talk about a compound that me and Sam are won't really know anything about. So this should be interesting. And I'm going to introduce Mr. Sam Stolt.
What is good, bro? Hey, it's good to see you. I really enjoy doing these. I enjoy doing these podcasts, right? We clearly do to a certain extent because we're episode 41, and it wouldn't have lasted this long if we if we didn't enjoy it.
No, we didn't. And I do want to mention, if you are one of our fans on YouTube and you like watching these on YouTube, I went to upload episode 40. And I found out that YouTube, we got 2 community guideline strikes for a certain type of misinformation about a certain type of testosterone injection. And yeah, the Fauci ouchie. So yeah, and I'm actually pretty pissed. I actually think fucking YouTube owes me like a year of YouTube Premium because none of that was misinformation. Everything that we said was proven. It is not safe. It is not effective. So fuck YouTube. How about that?
Think about this. This is literally what we've been talking about for 41 weeks. And then they go through and censor our shit.
Yeah. Like it was the episode with Tony Huge, which was back like sometime in 2021. And then one from September. I don't even remember what we said. I appealed both of them. I was like, whatever. But it's crazy how that's how their YouTube got me. They got me from my other Test Your Levels channel from a video that was put out like 8 months ago. Like, yeah, I mean, crazy.
So if you guys are listening though, and you do like the show or watch the show, if you watch on YouTube, another way you can find it is in your favorite podcast app, right? So if YouTube takes down the YouTube channel, you can go to any podcast app, whether it's Spotify, Apple, or the Google version. I think it's called Google Podcast. You can find it there as well. And we do have a Facebook group, but I don't know the name of it. Maybe I can look that up. And then we can spend some time in there and start building a community of people who are interested in this kind of stuff. So if you do listen on one of the podcast apps, take a second and leave us a review, because clearly we are getting censored, as in TYL just told you that, right? And if you enjoy it, why not?
Fucking assholes in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
It's just crazy. Like, it's not misinformation at this point. Like, it's 100% true. Like, how are you going to flag me for misinformation when it's been proven to be proven information? Whoops. God, I'm so glad I didn't take part in that activity.
Oh,
which
dude,
we can't talk of.
Which we can't talk of, or we get censored. What ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'll just keep pinning test. I'll just keep pinning all these little bottles right here. I'll just stick with those.
So tell people what was. I want to hear what your reaction was. Normally, when we come in to do one of these shows, one of us, whether it is TYL or myself, has something interesting that we've learned or read or watched that we can talk about or that we've covered. So we're going to try something a little bit new. And I came up with this idea like literally 4 minutes before we started the show. And TYL, what was your thoughts when I come in here and I'm like, hey, how about we do the show completely different and talk about something that we know nothing about? Adipotide, right? I'm like, let's talk about adipotide, something that I have no experience on and know nothing about. And yourself, what ran through your head when I said that? You're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Concern. Deep concern that this show is going to suck. No, not really. No, we'll have fun. I mean, this is an interesting one. This is, from what you mentioned, I didn't even realize this, but this was the compound that contributed to Boss and Loyd dying, along with the Fauci ouchie. But no, I don't think he was actually around for that. But this should be interesting. And I'm going to warn people, do not buy $50 office chairs off of Amazon. I had the chair that I was using in here. It was a better chair, but the outer part was like peeling out, the fake leather from China. And so it would leave all these little black specks. My wife hated it. She's like, oh, I'll just get you a new chair. They're like $50. I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. I put this bitch yesterday. This thing is like a midget chair. This is the tiniest little chair I've ever seen. It's so tiny. And I go to sit this thing first time. and a bolt flies out of this thing. So first time using this, I already lost a bolt. So now I'll be sitting here with like the gangster lean like this. Ridiculous.
Oh, man. Is it stripped, or can you get that bolt back in?
No, it's stripped. So it's
it's stripped. Oh, it's just a piece of shit. Yeah,
just a piece of shit.
Damn. Also,
China's
guys,
finest.
If you're listening to us and you can't see our awesome faces, we have some sponsors too, which we don't have any cool music to show you the brands yet, but hcgains.com has sponsored the show, so go check them out if you're curious. They have some cool stuff, and the Triggered Brand. .com also, so go check out them. They have some cool stuff as well if you're interested. Do you want to give us a little bit of a preview or context for this video that we're about to walk into?
No, not offhand. This is Sam, Live Like a Viking guy. I guess he's got a TRT clinic. I know there has been some controversy about that clinic, but I'm not going to get into that. So I've actually emailed with him before. He seemed like a nice guy, so I have nothing bad to say. But he's going to talk about this Adipotide. Adipotide.
Is that how you say it? Adipotide?
Probably not.
The fat cell killer. Actually, right before he gets into there, I literally have one paragraph about this. So let's see how this gives us like a little bit of context for what adipotide is, or whatever, however it's said. For short, it's called FTPP. Propiototic peptide. It kills fat cells, plain and simple, by targeting the blood supply of those cells. Interesting. Interestingly, adipotide is able to discern the blood vessels in fat cells from the blood vessels throughout the rest of the body, and is therefore highly selective. Ooh, that's just super interesting. Research in monkeys shows that adipotide not only causes weight loss, it actually boosts insulin sensitivity and offsets some of the effects of type 2 diabetes. So that was interesting. I wonder if he'll cover any of that stuff here. So without further ado, let's get into this. This is Sam Ridgway.
With Live like things like this. Like, what if there was a compound that could not only decrease fat, but could kill fat cells? See, the problem with fat cells is you have a certain number of them. And if you get skinnier, the fat cell just shrinks. If you get fatter, the fat cell gets bigger. But by reducing the number of fat cells, that decreases the probability that you will get fat, because you have less places for fat to store. The way this compound works is it adheres to the blood vessel that supplies blood to the fat cell. And when it destroys that blood vessel, the fat cell can't get any nutrients. So the fat cell dies, and the fat cell is excreted through, urine, feces, however it's excreted. But anyway, it only targets fat cells. Now, the name of this compound is adipotide, and it is a research chemical. But let's just talk about research chemicals in general. Am I saying take? No, I'm not saying take this. It's injection. But I'm not saying do that. But everything, the reason I like this subject so much on the different peptides, compounds, etc., is because everything at one point in time was a research chemical. Aspirin was a research chemical. The reason human beings once lived to 20 and now live to almost 90, the reason for that is science. And there are different things entering the market that have promise. And I like to hear about those things. I like to see where research is going. I like to see what types of medications are being created and out there, and in what they did with mice, and then they did with monkeys, and then they went to clinical trial. I like knowing that process. And I know that there are a lot of you out there. Does that mean run out and buy it and stick it in? No, that doesn't mean that. But at least knowing what's available, that's something I find to be interesting.
Get to the point, bro.
Kind of bring to the channel as we go along. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
He basically
but I don't know why
article.
you wouldn't want to learn about.
Whoops. What was that?
I said he basically just read your article. Kills fat cells.
Yeah.
Come on, Sam. Tighten up. Sam,
review upcoming
Yes. Get to the point, bro.
Medications and what they do. Maybe it's just me. Now, what does this have to do with hormone replacement therapy? Absolutely nothing. Again, it has no place in hormone replacement therapy.
No one asked you that.
This adipotide actually went through mice it went through monkeys, and the monkeys lost 11% of their body fat in 4 weeks. Like,
Damn.
that's crazy, right?
It's a lot.
And then it went to clinical trials. Now, before something gets to clinical
Let me
trials,
pause that for a second. Think about that, dude. Think about if you do in like a month, right? So we're halfway through the month of October. What if by the 20th of November you lost 11% of your body fat? Like
I would gain it all back in Thanksgiving.
but that would be think about how powerful that is.
That's pretty intense.
Like to be able to go through and actually do that. All right, we're gonna get back into this video.
I mean, you got to do like a lot of research before they're going to let you stick stuff into human beings. So a lot of stuff gets stopped in clinical trials too. They find out that this happens or this happens and they stop it. So it doesn't mean just because it gets to clinical trial, it's safe by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, with adipotide, they found that there are some, it affects your kidneys. Like now, not where you have kidney failure, but you have to take it for.
This came out. This video, I believe. Hey, when you want to look that up real quick? When did Boston Loyd die? This video came out in December 13th, 2018. So if you're not familiar, well, he's looking this up. There was this guy about 7 or 8 years ago who came out with his 1 year steroid transformation on YouTube, and he came out and talking about all sorts of stuff. But back in the day, like 7 years ago, it was actually probably more like 10 years ago. And it was on YouTube and it was talking about steroids. It was taboo back then. Like it's not taboo today. And the guy would just experiment with all sorts of crazy cycles and compounds and gigantic, like ridiculous doses. And he passed away recently from kidney failure. And the what Sam Ridgway is actually talking about is that this can cause issues with your kidney. And he's like, not kidney failure, but I believe Sam filmed this video before Boston Loyd died. Did you find that?
February 25th of 2022.
Yep. So isn't that interesting?
He's like, it's bad on your kidneys, but not to like kidney failure. Come on, you're good. Don't worry about it.
I wonder how much Boston was taking. You think, honestly, what do you think?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know too much about Boston Loyd. I mean, I know he was freaking massive. I don't know much about him though.
He was known for his he did like some bodybuilding coaching, and he had a little brand for a while. I don't know if he still has it. I think he did, but it was called 3cc's. That was his band. You know what that stands for, right? So 3cc's of gear. So I don't know, and like the amount of gear that he would take is like ridiculously high.
Didn't work out.
No, it didn't. It did not work out at all. So I wonder if this is like that study where they had GW, right, and they gave GW cardarine to those rats, but they gave them like 200x what a normal dose was, and they gave it to them for like their entirety of their life, and they're like, hey, GW causes cancer. But in reality, if myself or you for 17 years like take 10x the dose of ibuprofen we're supposed to take per day, we're gonna fucking die early, or our shit's gonna be completely fucked up, right?
Of course. Oh, random. I saw someone posted there's a new human study on GW. Someone posted it on Reddit. And long story short, it was saying that there's some type of like precancerous cell that there's types of cells in our body as we get older that can turn into cancer. And what they found in this human study is that the GW, the PPAR agonist, that's what it is. I guess it kind of showed that it can help turn those cells into cancer. I don't read the study. I just thought I would mention that while you brought up cardarine. But yeah, I don't know.
We should go through that in one of the episodes, that study, and talk about it. Right? I think that would be interesting for people to learn more about that.
So subscribe.
Yes.
if the channel's still here.
Yes. And let's get back into this video here from Sam Ridgway.
For a certain period of time. And I'm not putting any dosage in here or times to take it, because that sounds like I'm condoning the use of it. I'm not. So I'm not doing any of that. But when the people came off of adipotide, kidney function went back to normal. I mean, steroids affect kidney function too. So it's not like that's what alcohol affects kidney function. So it's not like this kidney function being affected is something that's totally like crazy, because there's no permanent damage. The other thing I think it did was dehydration. So you would have to stay hydrated, right? I mean, okay, so that's one of the things you have to do. But to have a compound that targets the blood vessels and then goes in and actually kills off the fat cell to where you have fewer fat cells, that's amazing, right? I find it to be amazing. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Now, there were
sorry, I keep pausing this. I'm listening to him and I'm thinking like, that's kind of interesting, right? Like, and I'm like, if I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to trying this if I went to the point where I was getting my blood work done for kidneys, right? Because you can check your kidneys in a couple different ways. So get some panels done for my kidneys. And instead of, say, whatever the normal dose is, say if it's 2 milligrams a day or like 200 micrograms a day or something like that, because that bottle he has on the screen is 2 milligrams. So normally one vial is not just like one dose. A lot of times it's multiple doses, right? So say if it was 200 micrograms per day, maybe I do 100 micrograms and I do it every other day, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and for a shorter period of time, like do that once a week, or sorry, do it for 1 week per month. So it's just like a very, very tiny amount, and then check like my kidney function again to see what it is. Because I mean, if you're literally reducing the number of fat cells in your body, I don't know. I know that's probably not something you would ever do, correct?
Hell no. So for the compound like this, fuck that. So first off, two things he said. So from what I've seen, so you could I could go get liposuction, right? On my stomach, I could get liposuction everywhere, and they're pulling out fat cells. But I could get fat again. And from what I understand, and I could be wrong, is that your fat cells can basically grow to an infinite size. There's not a maximum size for fat cells. So I could kill 10% of my fat cells, eat a bunch of food, and I'm still going to get fat. That's why liposuction isn't permanent, at least in my opinion. Now, the second thing, and I probably will get liposuction and get fat again, but anyway, the fact that it's okay, targets the fat cells and cuts off the blood supply to it. That sounds fine. Well, what if a little bit of that satellite action gets into your brainstem? What if that, gets into your muscle fibers? Like, I get it. It's a research chemical. Sam's not saying like, oh, this is fantastic. I take this. You should take this. But when it says it cuts off blood cells or blood vessels, I don't know. That sketches me out. I
appreciate the perspective. I appreciate the perspective because I might be talking about it in that way, but you guys should definitely not do the things that I'm talking about. So thank you for pointing that out as well.
It seems like an interesting compound. And I mean, it's one of those, it's one of those things. I mean, every medicine has, and especially if they're doing a study, they're going to be looking at a lot of different, body systems and, to see what happens. So, I mean, just because they did have some, alcohol is legal and they know that it hurts your liver. This thing may cause some damage to your kidneys. And Boston Loyd may have been on, I'm sure he was, if his brand is 3 cc's, I mean, I'm sure he's probably on at least taken, experimented with D-ball, super draw, draw,
massive dosages.
Yeah. So, I mean, his kidneys were probably fucked to begin with. And then you throw this on here and, obviously probably not ideal.
And then also I was thinking that he was probably just also taking a massive dose of this. Like I think he was probably trying to just like, where's the upper limit of because that's where he seemed to, I didn't follow a lot of his stuff, but I did see some of his content or like interviews with a guy, Dave Palumbo. I think I've seen a couple clips with him. And it was back when he was first getting into it. It was about like, hey, what's the maximum amount of shit you can do in terms of like drugs you can take? It seemed like it always came across that way. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was taking a gigantic dose of this peptide, and that like combination of what you just mentioned, all the other abuse he's done on his kidneys, and then layering on top of that, this thing, which also we know, I mean, according to the research Sam Ridgway is talking about, fucks up your kidneys already, right? So like you lay those two things on top of each other, not a good idea. Because he was on dialysis before he died, right? Yeah. So this dude went on dialysis for kidney failure. Then after being on that, I don't know if he continued or not, but then he fucking died. Like,
wow,
crazy shit.
That's scary. I mean, most weight loss stuff has some type of negative effect, whether it be, a hardcore stimulant. Appetite suppressants are not great for the cardiovascular system. They increase your heart rate, blood pressure, stuff like that.
What do you think about semaglutide?
I was going to mention that semaglutide is interesting, and I don't know anything about the long-term use of like the GLP-1. What is it? Agonist, analog. I can never freaking remember that. I always get those flipped. But what semaglutide is interesting, it's so interesting about it, is that it like attacks fat loss on three things. It slows digestion, which increases satiety, keeps you fucking full. And
that's what you should have started with.
I should have. So it keeps you fucking full.
We're not fancy here, guys.
But it keeps you full. It helps with the insulin resistance, and then it also, what's the other one that it does?
Blood sugar levels.
Blood sugar. So insulin, blood sugar, and then the satiety, the fancy shit. Guys, I'm sitting in a $50 Amazon chair, so don't expect much.
That's a very good point. I did see something and I haven't read the studies, but they did say something like there was one study that showed something related to thyroid cancer with semaglutide, but in the placebo group, the same thing happened. So they couldn't say it was from semaglutide because the same percentage of people in the other group that was a placebo group. This was my understanding of this study, right? So you have like some percentage, a tiny little percent that potentially had and it wasn't like the major issue with the thyroid cancer, it was some other type of thyroid. There's like multiple different types of thyroid cancer or something. It appeared to be, from my reading through this, the lesser aggressive, the less bad one, right? If you can think that about cancer, I guess. The placebo group also had the same percentage of people that had that same exact type of thyroid cancer stuff. So I don't know. It's very interesting. There's trizepatide, which if you guys haven't heard of, we're going to do an episode on in the future. And that one has very interesting things similar to semaglutide, but it is also a GIP agonist. So we're going to learn about that one in a future episode. But let's get back into some Sam Ridgway here. And
I don't think he has much more to say.
I don't think he does either. He hasn't really said much about the compound yet at all.
Don't take it. I'm not recommending it.
Correct.
Few different people that did that. One guy, he had done adipotide, and he said he ate chips and something, and he didn't gain any weight. Okay, fine. Another person said that there was injection pain with it. So another person said that there wasn't. So, I mean, some people have injection pain, other people don't. And again, I'm not suggesting that you do this. I'm just telling you that people that came in and said, I've done this, and here's kind of what I found. There really hasn't been any super negative stuff about it. So as I said, it went through mice, it went through monkeys, and then it went to clinical trial. Now, another thing about clinical trial is there's differences in clinical trial. Let's talk about MK677 for a second. We have over a decade of research on MK677, although it is a research chemical. Then there are other chemicals, such as adipotide, that have been in clinical studies for months, right? Just like not even years. So, even though it's a research chemical, there are different phases that chemical could be in during the research phase, if you will. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, we do.
You have decades of data and you have 6 months of data. Oh. You're kind of in two different places on that.
We got it.
So basically, I just wanted to bring
I think we're good on
kind
Sam.
of bring new.
That will be interesting. I would like to start doing more blood work. I think go ahead.
I was going to say, so long story short, adipotide, we got some shredded ass monkeys. That's as far as we've gotten. Boston Loyd took it. He died. So
yeah,
it sounds like an interesting compound. I mean, it'd be cool if they did a lot more research. It would be, and I've said this, and it's a catch-22. Like, if government agencies actually like put money into researching compounds that would help their population be healthier, be better, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But they don't have any interest in that. Or the American government would look into testosterone replacement therapy and do real freaking studies with real dosages mixed with HCG, see what Arimidex does and do actual studies. But they're trying to keep you freaking alive. And so you can empty your pocketbook every month. That's about it.
Yes. And it looks like there's a section here. It can have an effect on glucose as well. Glucose tolerance is a term that it refers to higher than normal levels of blood sugar levels. The condition is generally diagnosed with blood tests and confirmed by testing fasting glucose levels or by administering a glucose tolerance test in which a set of sugar is consumed and then blood sugar levels are measured. This glucose tolerance is a proxy for diabetes, with increased glucose tolerance indicating a trend towards diabetes. So this adipotide seems to also help with this in some way. And I'm sure that they're going to probably try to be doing research with this, because how they, from my understanding and how I believe things work, somebody finds a compound, adipotide, they find this peptide. And then people are like, okay, cool. It was found from this one area. So somebody has a theory. Hey, maybe because this is found in the gut, like BPC, maybe it's helpful at healing in the gut. Let's test it, right? And then you do that test and that comes up and you're like, oh, that worked. And then it also supplies other information. And those are like little threads to pull on, right? And people pull these threads and like unravel something, right? And that unraveling is all the other shit that it does, right? Like they still don't fully understand what BPC 157 does, but with drugs, it's like I was looking up something earlier around tizard peptide or patatide or something. It's like semaglutide.
Okay.
And they were talking about that in there, and it just reminded me of that. And I was like, oh, this is exactly how they're gonna take this semaglutide thing, get it approved for diabetes, then get it approved for weight loss. And they're going to create two different brands. Each brand is going to sell for the highest maximum price it can, even though it's exactly the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like semaglutide, one compound will be sold for diabetes for it's life-threatening, meaning you need this, right? Like, because you're going to die with diabetes, right? Or that probability or mortality, whatever, is definitely increased. And then fat loss, right? But the appetite for one is going to be higher than the other, and they're going to sell at big differences in price. Like semaglutide from one of the companies, Ozempic,
Yeah,
$1,000 to $1,200 a month.
Yeah,
bro, this shit costs nothing.
Yeah, that's welcome to the pharmaceutical world. And then once in 7 years, when it's up for becoming a pure generic, then they will recalibrate the formula, maybe add 3 or 4 days to the half-life, and then they'll repackage that and they'll have a new patent on it. And that's how the pharmaceutical company works. Is I know there's I think it's like Embrel or something. I can't remember, but that guy not Phil Nicholson. I think it's Phil Nicholson. Yeah, the golfer.
This is the golfer. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not Jack Nicholson. Phil Nicholson. He's a golfer, and it's like Embrel or some shit. And they basically just like reformulated it, just like this tiny little tweak, so that it doesn't go to full on generic. So then they get another 7 years out of it, another 7 years. So it's just pharmaceutical companies freaking garbage. It's just they've literally created the entire system around profitability. And then you've got the insurance company. I was listening to, there was a guy, and maybe I talked about this on another one, but he was real deep into this world. And basically, like, so if you go to your doctor and they write like full on, like, not even maybe full on, but like more extensive testing than like the metabolic panel, complete blood count, and lipids, like the insurance company will push back and they'll be like, well, why are you writing this one? Why are you writing this one? Let me know. We need to know why you're writing this one. And basically the idea is that they make it so that every time the doctors write these more labs that they have to pay for, they basically just make more work. The insurance company makes more work for the doctors. So what are the doctors going to do? well, fuck it. Every time I write for hemoglobin A1C, I have to justify it. And then I pay this girl to send them an email. And then we have to do this and get prior authorization. I'm just not going to run hemoglobin A1C anymore. And so over time, they've wore down doctors, and new doctors know that if you're going to do these extra labs, you're going to have to justify it, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. So they effectively trained, like dogs, doctors to just write the normal basic labs, because if they don't, it's a pain in the ass. Think about that for a second.
That's interesting.
And this guy, he said that if you think Big Pharma is bad, he's like, the insurance companies eat Big Pharma for breakfast. He's like, they're the ones with the real power, because if they don't cover shit, it's not getting paid for. And then I'll slow down after this, but I was listening to I think it was Joe Rogan, and there was a guy talking about the different hallucinogen treatments like ketamine, psilocybin, and basically they were doing some study with sleep deprivation to help with depression. Long story short, they can't really figure out how to put a medical code on it so they can bill for insurance. So basically they can't do it, and they can't do a study on it. I mean, I guess they can do studies, but it can't be as a treatment. So they can't like brand it as this is something that we could try for people that are depressed instead of pills, because they don't have a medical diagnosis code for it to bill insurance. Think about that.
Wow.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And just think your Mima's over there got something wrong with her, and they may not be able to do what they need to do for her or get her the right blood test because the insurance company doesn't want to pay for it.
Wow. Also, I know somebody who owns a like peptide company, and they were telling me the test results. So they had third party tested the semaglutide that they have, right, which is just basically a generic peptide that is Ozempic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got the test back, and it was 99.8% pure, right? But he's like, yeah, it costs less than $15. And I was like, wait, what? So what's it called? Who buys in like the dude buys in like a small, or it's not like a big company or anything, right? So his cost is definitely higher than Ozempic is, right? Because the cost per unit is going to be way lower, and they're charging $1,200 a month, for like 1,000x on the price.
I've brought it up on this podcast before, but I had an image way back in the day, like MySpace days, that listed all like the different prescription pills, and it showed like what the actual cost is to like make the pill. And I think like a 20 milligram Adderall was like 0.20 zeros one. Like it was like you can make 1 million of them for like a couple bucks, like basically like based on like the raw ingredients. So yeah. It's crazy,
dude. How is this going to really like get solved? Because like, this is not sustainable. There's no way this is fucking sustainable as a society in the world. There's no way this is sustainable in any way, shape, or form. Something has to change, right? Like, there's no way.
I don't know. Pfizer's got stockholders. United Health Insurance has stockholders. It feeds the beast. You've got the pharmaceutical companies that pay for senators and congressmen and lobbyist groups and all that. And now apparently they have control of social media companies. Apparently, we got hit with, just think about us. Think about just something small like us. Like we have 300 people on YouTube. And I'm not saying that necessarily like we were targeted. I mean, we're fucking tiny in the grand scheme of things, but YouTube algorithm went through all 41 episodes of ours, well, 39, because I can't publish these two, and pulled out the words, went through the transcription because they can read the transcription, saw that we were talking about this thing, the ouchie, and slapped the freaking. And I'm sure you mad lads out there listening to this or posting memes and stuff on Facebook. You've probably been in Facebook jail. I mean, it will slowly, people will be like, I really want to use, well, two things will happen. They'll either say, well, I really want to use Facebook so I can talk to my Mima who has health problems and may not be here for a long time. So now I'm not going to post this meme because I know this is going to put me in Facebook jail. Or you're going to say, fuck Facebook. Facebook is a garbage platform. I'm not going to use it anymore. And Facebook is going downhill fast. Listen, so Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure as shit, and a lot of people sure as shit are not buying $1,500 glasses to float around in the metaverse. Fuck that.
Yeah. So do you think that by what you're describing, though, you get those two options. It's just a form of censorship.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely, 100%.
Like, because this is just ridiculous.
We'll make it such a pain in the ass and so annoying that you won't even want to use our platform anymore. And if you do want to continue using our platform, you'll be a good boy.
Damn.
Well, the guy I watch on YouTube, his name's Salty Cracker, and he's freaking funny. His name is fantastic because he's white. He's super white and he's salty, but he does political videos. Like his YouTube channel, he does not care. He puts curse words in the first 2 seconds. He does not care, but he'll do live streams, and he does live streams. And then at some point he's like, all right, YouTube, bye. We're going on to Rumble and we're going on to Odyssey, because he doesn't want to do the show on YouTube for the rest of the show. So he'll start off on YouTube. He'll get people watching. And then he says, I'm going to Rumble or Odyssey to try to bring people over to those platforms.
Oh, you've heard of Andrew Tate?
I have.
He's over on Rumble now, and you know that guy Steve. He's with Bradley Martin a lot of times.
Steve will do it.
Yeah. He's also on Rumble. Rumble signed him, and then there's like another big gamer that's over there too. I finally got my account set up. Trying to get into it at least. I think I set it up, and I still haven't I don't know how to use Rumble in any way, shape, or form. And I got locked out, so I haven't actually been able to get into my account to even just look for videos or anything. But I do think that we should have this published over there at some point. Right.
So when I got my YouTube account banned, my channel is already backed up on Odyssey, and it was a real simple process. I put in my channel, it pulls the videos and does everything. Rumble, I had to put videos on manually. So if they can do the same thing as Odyssey, I would do that for both my channels, A, as backups, and B, so other people. I've got a whole 18 followers on Rumble. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I have 18 followers.
Damn, that's climbing up there, bro.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping by the end of the year, 20.
Hey, so we've got about 10 minutes left here. Do you want to talk about crypto real quick if you don't have anything else to?
Crypto. I love crypto. Yeah, let's talk about some crypto. First off, I guess what I'll say is if you're not happy with the way things are going, if you feel that the dollar is really strong and you feel the economy is cranking and everything is fantastic and Uncle Joe and Brandon are doing a fantastic job, turn this podcast off right now, because you don't need to learn about crypto. There's no reason to worry about or even think of a decentralized platform where you can send money worldwide, uncensored, for nearly free. So just turn it off. But no, crypto, I've been very interested in crypto for a long time. I don't personally own any for personal reasons, but I think that Bitcoin is the OG. That's going to be around forever. I feel like that's going to be like Google. It's the OG. My second favorite cryptocurrency is Ethereum. That's like programmable money. That's pretty much what, in my opinion, Ethereum is pretty much crypto right now. And then you may disagree with that, but everything, smart contracts, a lot of this decentralized finance is pretty much all running on Ethereum right now. But Ethereum is too congested. So they need to work on some scaling so that they can get to 100,000 transactions a second. I think they're at like 15 or something, 10 or 15 right now. Which you can't do worldwide shit with 15 transactions a second. It just doesn't fly.
I look at the dexscreener.com as a tool that I use regularly for crypto. And when I look at the Ethereum network, on average, so I track it in a spreadsheet, and on average, it has around 120 to maybe 150,000 transactions every 24 hours.
Wow.
Which is a lot. But in reality, like I think MasterCard or Visa's 10 times that amount, right?
Yeah, if not more. So I mean, if you have, I would just say, I mean, I can't teach you crypto in 6 minutes, but definitely I would say get a Coinbase account. They actually have some stuff where you can learn, you can actually get paid to learn about cryptocurrencies on there, but just look up Bitcoin and Ethereum. Just start there. I mean, just learn about it, because our dollar is not going to be worth shit. I mean,
and you're going to, whether you like, do you remember people when these came out? For everybody listening, I'm holding up a smartphone. When these came out, right? We used to have flip phones that were substantially smaller than this giant block in my hand, right? And when you'd have a flip phone and you were talking about smartphones, there would be people that had this argument that my flip phone I can text on, my flip phone I can call on. I don't want to do that other stuff. Like, this is good for me, right? And now, years later, everybody has one. The government gives out these phones for free, right? Now, this is similar to crypto. There's a lot of people here that have, if we're talking about crypto, are talking about putting it off and not actually putting the work, like TYL was just saying, like not putting in the effort to learn what Bitcoin is, how it works, what Ethereum is, how it works, what is DeFi, all the different projects, how to move money around, how to like do all these things. Because you're going to be doing it just like if you were one of those people who said you weren't going to get a smartphone. You're going to be in the same boat, but you're going to be behind the curve because it's finance related. It's finance related. The world economy is changing at such a rapid pace. Like the magnitude at which this is happening, people don't realize. Like they really don't understand how quickly we're going to switch over. And that still might be 36 or 60 months. But when you think about like that 36 to 60 months, the amount of more people are going to get into crypto. Like if we're at 300 million now, every day, every time that we've talked pretty much for the past, 6 to 8 months, I brought up crypto to you, correct?
Yeah.
And you've probably talked to, the wifey and like friends about crypto in the last year multiple times, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you look at crypto.com, on average, what they estimate is 300 million people are in crypto worldwide, right? 8 billion people, 300 million are in crypto. That's 3.8% of the world population in crypto. Okay. If you understand what an S curve is, right? I think I might have talked to you about this before. So for anybody who's not aware of this, like televisions, computers, smartphones, airbags, any technology always follows an adoption curve that looks like an S. Starts out really, really, really slow. And it takes a while to go from 0.01% adoption to 0.02% adoption. It takes a substantial amount of time. And then it continues to build and grow faster. And right at the point where you're around 4 to 5%, in an S curve, you can look at this up in history. There's tons and tons of examples, is when it goes parabolic, when it goes directly up, right? So we're at 3.8% as of last year, according to crypto.com, which I think they might have more data and better understanding than I do. Maybe not, but from the macro level, because they're an exchange, right? So they get to see some data that I don't get to see. But think about a doubling, right? Because we just talked about, you talk to people, I talk to people. And if every one of those 300 million people tells 2 more people, right? 2 more people, that's like getting a girlfriend and a friend into it throughout an entire year. That's 900 million people in crypto by the end of this year.
Yeah. My dad is 70 years old. He has crypto. I have a buddy that's 60. He has crypto. We're not like fucking selling on you like, oh, you're going to get rich with crypto. I personally do think you will, but if you look at the crypto market right now, this is probably your best opportunity. I feel like we're on QVC over here. I know. Call in now. We've got our 3x super flexible payment plan. No, but right now, so crypto's gone up real high. Bitcoin was up at like 60 something, but it's been real steady for the past almost year at like 20,000, 19,000. Ethereum's down at like 12, 1,300. So this is, I would say, this would be a great opportunity to jump in because you're not missing out. You're not buying Bitcoin at 60,000. You're buying it at pretty much. It's shown that this is kind of a floor at this point. Now that could obviously change. That could go down, but I would definitely look into crypto. I mean, my dad's 70 years old and I have a buddy that's 60 years old and they're into crypto. Think about how far you are behind. I'm not saying go and blow your life savings, but I would definitely just learn about it so you know, and it is super interesting. There's actually I think I told you about this. Coinbase has a podcast called Around the Block. And so they have some real like basic, like high level stuff to where you could get involved. But I learned at Bitcoin when it was $100 and I didn't buy it. I thought it was stupid. My buddy was actually mining it on his laptop when you were able to do that. And I was like, bro, you've got your little computer doing little fake little computer math problems so you can get your internet money. That's freaking stupid. You're wasting your time. Well, he wasn't. I don't know. That's all I have about crypto. Look into it, research it, only invest what you can afford to lose. I recommend, dollar cost averaging, taking a certain percentage every week or 2 week or every month and just have it auto draft and just hold on to it. Don't sell it.
There's a massive opportunity right now. What TYL was saying with crypto, this next bull run, so say the bull run, gets into swing in next year and really hits its peak, say 24 months from today, right? Like it starts to go up. I would expect probably before the end of next year, but I don't know, could change, right? But it hits a peak in 24 months, 36 months. The amount of change, like the amount of money that people are going to be making in crypto during this time is absolutely going to astonish people. And you're going to hear more and more and more of your friends that are in crypto that are going to leave you behind, financially speaking, with the amount of gains that are going to be had in the crypto space as we transition. Because what drives prices? Demand. If Ozempic selling Semaglutide can sell their shit for $1,200 a month, there's a market for $1,200 a month, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens when demand increases? If there was 27% more fat people in the world with money, right, then that market increases, right? Well, what happens is we go from 3.8% of the world population in crypto to 7 by the end of this year, and then goes to 15 the following year, right? And then goes to 30 the following year. It is going to have a gigantic impact in there.
I just want to preface that Sam just said is not financial advice, and this is not financial. We are not financial advisors. I would leave you with one thing, not anything to do with the gains from getting crypto. It's the fact that it's your money. Like it's a worldwide thing. There's no government stamp on it. It is your money. And unless, if you do some crazy stuff, I'm sure the government can probably take it from you. But in general, it's off the grid. Anyway, I think we wrap it up. That was a lot of good. That was some preachy ass crypto, bro. I need to get.
We were pretty convincing there. Hey, if you guys watch this to this point or listen to this to this point, and you get some crypto, let us know. Leave us a review on the podcast. Go check out Test Your Levels on Instagram. I'm right up above here, sam.stolt. Check out Test Your Levels YouTube channel. Go ahead.
It's not Test Your Levels anymore. I don't use that one. It's Testosterone and Men's Health. And the little logo is TRT. So follow me there. Fuck Instagram. Instagram's trash.
Hey, peace, dude. I'll see you in a second.
But follow Sam on Instagram. His Instagram's good.
Yes.